everybody, welcome back to Live with the Hamptons, and we are in our new buggy here, 22 Polaris Ranger 48 volt EV, and we're going to do a range test with the factory 48 volt lead acid batteries. We are fixing to do the lithium swap. I have the lithium batteries in, so we're going to do that swap, and we're just going to get some mileage in. What I want to show you, here, just this cab is it's pretty amazing. I'll back off if I can here, but the cab is pretty amazing. I mean, it's really well built. I mean, the glass windshield closes real good. It's got the windshield wiper on it. The doors shut real tight. Nothing really rattles. It's pretty quiet in here. Back glass is really good. So we're just gonna get some miles in. As you can see, when we left the house, we were at 100%, and we're just gonna get some miles in. I want a baseline to see what kind of mileage we're getting in lead acid in this Polaris Ranger. And we're gonna do a few trails. We're gonna do some up and down, but you can see we're on the main road. We're gonna go up some gravel roads, state maintained gravel roads, so they're not really crazy steep, but they're fairly steep. Just give you a good indication of the terrain we're in. It's like all of our other videos. So just stick with us, man. It's not going to take too long, I don't think, to run this battery down. I am expecting somewhere roughly, I would say, if it gets 10 miles on this charge, I will be really, really surprised. So, and again, we're talking about lead acid. So once we get to, I've got a window open, so maybe it's a little quieter on you, but we're talking about lead acid batteries. So once we literally get to 50% on our batteries, this pack is done. At 50%, we're done on a lead acid battery. You better turn around and start looking for a way to get home at 50%. And I would say it's been my experience that when you get down to 50% on lead acid battery, you literally only have maybe a mile left, and very, very minimal power at that. It's probably only going to run half the speed that it did at full charge, half the pulling power that it had at full charge, as well as just maybe a mile or so to be able to creep back home or get back to your truck or something. So lead acid batteries can only go 50% down because you don't have 50% left. I know that's kind of confusing to a lot of people, but your battery pack has expired once you get to 50% with lead acid battery. So we're just, as you can see behind me, maybe you can see some of the terrain. You can see over here, it's really, really kind of steep terrain. You've seen a lot of our other videos. Here comes a Jeep. So we'll go over and let the G-app by. Hey, I've noticed this lead acid battery, like pulling up this road, it's not, see, I'm wide open right now. I'm full blast. Even though this thing will run 25 miles an hour, any type of an upgrade, it's not going to run that fast because this is a heavy buggy. It's got, I guesstimate roughly 650 to 700 pounds of batteries. So we're coming to this pretty good little incline pull right here, and so we're just continually slowing down. Right here we're probably, we're down slow, probably 10 miles an hour right here. So I'm still floored, still wide open, but we're just gonna get the miles in. See, it's already down, and again it says 90%, but in actuality it's used 20% of its power because we can only go to 50% charge. So just got to keep that in mind. Lead acid is, you know, it tricks you like that. People think they have a lot more range than what they actually do. But it's always a pretty place up here. Beautiful little pond. It's always pretty in the wintertime, snow out. This thing does have a really tight turning radius, and I really appreciate that tight turning radius. This thing rides amazing. I mean, it really does. I am so surprised about how the way this thing rides. So comfortable. I can hit some big stuff off-road, and it's just, I mean, it just rides like a Cadillac. I know I've said that in other videos, but it really does. This is going to be so much better for the family, for my wife, not jarring her to death when you're out riding. Plus, there's full enclosure. You know, that's pretty amazing. A wintertime riding in the snow. I just can't wait. All that stuff will be pretty good. All right, we'll go up this steeper side. This is even steeper than where we just went up. We're floored right now. I'll get a speed for you right here. Alright. I was getting, as you can see there on the screen, I put it up about 12 miles an hour, but now this is so steep right here, I'm sure I'm down in single digits right now. Of course, this doesn't have a speedometer on it to show you. I mean, this is steep, but still, you know, hovering right around 9 to 10 miles an hour right now, wide open. So the battery pack, like I said, just so heavy. And another thing I did find out was so heavy. This is one of the, I mean, back up right here, reiterate what I was talking about. See, I'm wide open right here in high range, wide open. It says it's private, so we'll assume it is private. Don't want to get on nobody's. But this is wide open right here, and that is a steep little driveway, but it got down to 4 or 5 miles an hour in high range. And this is one of those things, I'll just keep driving, below it a little bit. This is one of those things with a 48 volt system versus the 72 volt system on my tractor. The 48 volt system just isn't as powerful. Just isn't. So there's a huge difference. Coming up through here with my 72 volt system, it would probably run up through there at 30 miles an hour if you wanted to. It's a beast of a buggy. This 48 volt, now I do know that we're in a lead acid situation right now, so I know that it'll do a lot better once we drop, you know, close to 600 pounds we'll be losing going to a lead acid pack. I think what I may do is go ahead and just put in the one. I have two bundles. I have two 48 volt 105 amp hour batteries that's going in this. So for a total of 210 amp hours of lithium power. What I think I may do is there are a lot of you, I think, that will want to try just the 105 just for financial purposes, just the one battery. So I want to try that. I'll just put in the one single 48 volt 105 amp hour battery, and I will we'll run it and we'll do a range test on it. So that way that'll give you a true apples to apples comparison about the single 105 battery compared to these 8 12 volt batteries that are in this thing now. And again, if you're not familiar with the Polaris Ranger EV, the 48 volt, we're not talking about the kinetic, but the 48 volt, it has 8 12 volt batteries in it. And how it's run, it's got 4 of those 12 volt batteries are run in series to create a 48 volt pack. And then it's like repeated on both sides here. It's got a 4 battery pack, 48 volt pack under the driver's seat, and it's got a 4 battery pack, 48 volt under the passenger seat. And then they are running parallel with each other, which maintains the 48 volts, but then doubles your amp hours. So it adds both battery packs together for a longer run time, which it does add a longer run time. However, that longer run time has to be accompanied with the weight of those 4 extra heavy batteries. So you figure up 8 batteries at about 85 pounds a piece. You know, you're looking at, you know, close to 700 pounds, I guess, something like that. And the single 105 amp hour 48 volt battery from FleetLithium weighs 100 pounds. So maybe a little less than 100 pounds. So you can see the weight savings. So that 600 pounds, close to it, of weight savings is going to be tremendous when it comes to allowing this thing to pull at higher speeds up these steep driveways and steep roads. Another thing that I may do just for kicks and giggles later on is I'll do a range test with the removal of these doors. I know you may not think that moving these doors, removing them, is going to do much of anything, but these doors are almost 100 pounds a piece. I took them off and I run it for a little while, a couple of hot days we had. They're literally, I mean, right at 100 pounds a piece. So you're putting about 200 more pounds on here just for running these doors. So I'll do we'll try to do a range test with that once we get our lithium pack in, and kind of give a closer proximity to the range with people that don't have an enclosed cab, because it does add quite a bit of weight. So we're back on the road again, as you can see. Kind of a rainy, dreary day. This is Veterans Day. I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there that put your life on the line and fought for this country. As you can see now, we are at 76%. You can't discharge it under 50%. There's nothing left. You can drain it on down to 0%, but you're going to harm the battery, and there's just nothing there. There's just no gains. Like I said, from 50% to 0% to where it dies on you, you might get a mile and a half out of it, and that's going to be easy. Very limited. It's got power restrictions, everything else, so it's just not going to pull under 50%. So at 75%, you've actually used 50% of your battery, not 25%. And so I don't really know what kind of mileage we've got, but we've not been out running 10 minutes so far. So we're just going to get some miles in and get a little trail riding here. We'll go up the road and I'll get some little trail riding in, and we'll see kind of how that pulls it down. I've got about a steep little trail up here, and I'll see if it'll pull it. I'll get into that in a second, but it's really steep. Got me a low range. The trail is up that ridge, up the face of that ridge right there, all the way up, and that is so steep up in there. And we'll be on that ridge right there. So we'll actually I'll show my mileage, or the range left when we get up here, and then if it will pull us up, we'll see what it does. And I'll start showing you kind of some of the drawbacks of lead acid. I'm already feeling a lot of power loss than what I had at 100% charge. So see, we'll be riding on that ridge going up that mountain. So let's go ahead, and you can see where we're at. We're at 67% right now. And again, we're going to switch to low. I'm going to go ahead and, let me go ahead and put it in all-wheel drive. Again, this, guys, is really, really steep. It turns right here and just gets super steep. And these leaves are super wet. It just rained yesterday and last night. I can already feel the power cutting back. I went to give it more throttle and the power cut back. It feels like right now, this is so steep, but right now if I give it more than like a half throttle, it'll just start shuddering. We don't have the power and it cuts back due to the battery loss. The lead acid batteries. You can see that's where we're at coming up the road. There's the old home place. We just ride up this ridge, and again, I'm having what I am noticing, and it just crawls over this stuff with ease. It's shuddering right now, and I'm at half, not even half throttle. But when it's on the full charge with these lead acid batteries, it comes up through here. It's like maybe a quarter throttle, it'll crawl up through here, but now I'm having to give it half throttle or more to crawl up through here, just because of our percentage of discharge is so low. This is something that you don't get with the FleetLithium batteries. FleetLithium batteries, you have 100% of your power throughout the entire range of your battery. And again, I don't know if you see how steep this is, guys, but it is horribly steep. And this little fella is crawling up through here. It's absolutely amazing how this little thing crawls. Now, this is a pretty good little sapling right here with some big branches sticking up, but this little fella just crawls right over. And the ride on this thing is so good. And I know that right here it started shuddering already. This is again, this is like straight up. I mean, literally, guys, this is so steep. I'm at full throttle, and it is not wanting to pull this. It might not pull it. Right here's another steep little hill. Oh, ooh. And this is at full throttle. I mean, I am on the floor with the pedal. And we are showing 57%. So you kind of see what I'm talking about. Once that battery gets down there close to 50%, you're done at 50. You're done. Come on, I'm floored. Come on. Oh yeah. All right, now I'm still floored, but now it starts shuddering. And it's still floored. It just shuddered and pulls back power, trying to conserve power on its own. So it'll never make it to the top, guys, because there's another little jet up here. It gets a lot steeper. But the road goes on out and switchbacks and then goes way on up through there. And it'll never make it. As you can see right now, I'm at 55%. So we're going to back this thing back off. Try to keep this without too many interruptions. I know a lot of people don't like the the uninterrupted stuff because the videos are really long. So we're at 53%. Right now. Look at this. We're at 53%. Check out the regenerative braking. I like the regen for braking purposes only, because of where I live. You can see how steep this terrain is, and this is super steep going downhill. But look at the mountains where we're at, right? So super steep. But the regenerative braking, I like it because it's a brake, right? It does not put back any power back in your batteries. That's, I guess in theory it's supposed to, and I guess if you had a way to, to get down into, really fine way of measurements, I guess it may put some back in your batteries. But for the most part, there is zero gains of transferring, you know, putting energy and recharging your batteries by this regenerative braking. It's just not a thing, even though it's advertised. People say, oh, well, when you get off the throttle going down the hill, it puts power back in your battery. No, it don't. I mean, you know, technically, like we said, technically it may, because, you know, it may put, you know, a 100th of a, you know, of an amp back in your battery over a quarter mile downhill or something, but you're never going to notice it. You're never ever going to see it on your gauge. You're never going to, nothing like that, right? So I just like it because of the braking system. So that's the only benefit that you'll ever get out of the regenerative braking. It saves your brakes on your machine, makes driving a lot easier because you're not having to, you know, mash on your brake all the time going down steep hills, steep inclines. So this is super steep, and we've come down, I'm going to say we've come down, let's go ahead and figure a couple hundred yards at this time of extremely steep terrain. Look, the road's down there, and you can see how steep this is going off down to it. And I'll show you down here when we get here at the bottom just how much juice that it has put back in this battery, right? Just want y'all to see that. And it has put exactly none back in the battery, 0. And we've come off 200 yards off that mountain, and we didn't get halfway up it because of the sheer battery draw, that it was absolutely draining the battery, and it wouldn't let it have the power to keep going. That is a super disadvantage of lead acid batteries. So we're at 53% now, and so we're pretty much, by the time we get back home, we're going to be toast on these batteries. So we'll get our mileage when we get pulled back into the driveway, which is just right down here. So the biggest downfall for me with lead acid batteries, other than just the range, is when I start trying to pull some of these super steep hills. Like our water tank is over up on top of that hill. So we've got trails, if you've seen our videos, going all the way up there. So if I hop on this buggy and it's at 70% or 80% even, and with lead acid battery, and I go up, try to go to my water tower or my water tank, it won't go. You'll see what it does. It'll, you know, about halfway up, it'll start, you know, shimmering and shaking, and the battery just will not give it enough power to get on up to the top. So it didn't make it up here. So what we're doing, we're going ahead and change them out. You got Torx bits right here. There's going to be, taking these 2 out, there's going to be, you have to take these 3, these are longer, have to take them out, as well as take this one here out. And then there's several here, one on the front, 2 on the front, 1 up top, 1 down low. Then I think there's 2 going to be underneath, and I don't know if you can see those, but there's going to be 2 of those underneath. And so you take that off, and anyway, so you end up, once you take that panel off, you can see it, you got it open. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in here. Straightforward. This is 10mm, so you just take all of these brackets out. You can see here we have got the battery tray out. As you can see right here, I took my little saw here, little reciprocating saw, Harbor Freight Special, and I just cut these out. Right, cut this one off and cut this one off. There's little metal tabs up here. I'm gonna take and beat those down flat with a hammer. Those 2 little tabs right there. And that battery, this is the 13-inch. From here to here is 13, and from outside to here to this bracket is 15 inches. That's a perfect fit for our 105 battery to fit in. Perfect fit. This battery tray is big enough. Now we'd have to cut out all of these little brackets
these little holders here to get the 160 in, but the 160 will fit in this battery tray. So you can take, you can do the 160 battery, the 105, or you can double them up and have two 105s is what I'm doing here for a 210 amp hour battery pack, or you can do the two 160s for 320 amp hours, which is like it's over 16,000 watt hours of power. So one thing I want to point out to you guys, when you clean out your battery trays, you see I've already got this one out, I've already got the other ones back in, and this one's back in, and my tabs are cut down, and I've hammered the metal tabs down. One thing you want to check and go over everything is go over all your wires, all your connections, go over them really good. You're in here, so go ahead and do it. And what I found, you can see right there on top of my solenoid, I found a little issue going to one of my batteries, and so I want you to look at that. This is there's the main positive, and look at this copper terminal. It is eat up. Look at that. So I have more terminals. I'm going to change this out before I put it back. You guys, just make sure you go over all your terminals. This would have led to problems in the very near future, and I don't know that I'd have been able to diagnose it had I not seen this going around cleaning all my terminals. So just make sure you do that on this change, guys. All right, guys, I know that you can't tell, but it is cold. Yesterday we were fooling with this, and it was 75 degrees, and we are in North Carolina, so it can go from being lake weather to Christmas time overnight. Today it's 32 degrees, wind's blowing like crazy, and it is cold. So we just got to deal with it, right? So anywho, I'm gonna see how the old battery fits in here, see how it works, right? I'm gonna show you how this fits in this Polaris EV by removing those trays. Like, you literally have, you know, a quarter of an inch from, I can't even get my finger in between there, and it's the same way this way, and this really is simple, and it fits perfectly. I mean, absolutely perfectly. So we'll just go ahead and drill my holes, get this in, then I'll bolt this battery up, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, everybody, as you can see, we have the charger mounted, and it is charging the battery. So you can see we've got in both batteries. We'll walk around. So we've got in both batteries. So on this range test, I didn't want anybody saying, well, you cheated, you know, you didn't have that second battery in it or whatever. So I went ahead and mounted both batteries. Went ahead and mounted my pigtail. As you can see there. So this actually, a single pigtail comes with the kit, but I'll go on Amazon and I always order the dual, and show you right quick, the dual pigtail. And you can either charge your, use the second one. Obviously use one of them for your charger. I just got it hooked right here for now. But hook one for your charger, and that leaves you a second pigtail for like a 3 amp charger or a 5 amp charger, to plug in, a winch battery, to have your winch battery able to be charged. So when you plug up your drop cord right here, you can have a winch battery in, and designated for your winch, and have like a 3 amp or a 5 amp little charger on it. You don't want a trickle charger, because the trickle charger is just a maintainer. You do want at least a 3 amp charger on it. So, but you can have that plugged in to the second pigtail. So when you plug in your power, it's charging both your winch battery and your main battery. These are 15 amp chargers. They're really safe chargers. But if you do the math, a 15 amp charger, it says 15 amps. You can see it's 16 and a half amps going in it. So 16 and a half amps and you'll have to forgive the toboggan head, it is cold today, cold. But 16 and a half amps, just say 16 amps going into this thing. In 10 hours, that's 160 amps. So in 10 hours, that charger is just gonna put 160 amps in this 210 amp battery pack. So if it's dead completely, 0%, you know, it could take 12 hours or so, you know, to put it in. Maybe 12, whatever the math is, 12, 14 hours. Just so roughly. You wouldn't say, oh, he's cheating or whatever the case may be. You can see here, everything is hooked up to one battery. So the charger is hooked up just to this one battery. My hot leads are hooked up, negative leads are hooked up just to this one battery. You can see here my negative lead is, I've got it zip tied right there. That will go when I add the other battery on the power grid here. I just want to double my amp hours. That will go over to the negative on the other battery. And then the positive, as you can see here, the positive will actually go to this opposite battery. So you can see there's nothing hooked up here. So I have 0 hooked up. So I did go ahead and mount this so we do have the weight of it. What we can do here is we're going to do the range test of the 48 volt 105 amp hour battery that we have plugged up now. So we'll do a range test with it. And that way you will get a true apples to apples comparison with how far these Polaris Ranger EVs will go with one 105 battery. If you just have the regular Polaris with a windshield, this is a glass windshield, so, but you know, if you got a regular Polaris with no doors and one 105 battery, you're going to be 250 pounds lighter than I am. So whatever I get, if your buggy doesn't, like I said, doesn't have the doors, doesn't have the extra 105 weight in it of that battery, have me having 2 of them in there, you're going to get 5 to 6, 7 more miles because your buggy will be 250 pounds lighter than what mine is. So whatever we get, you know, you're going to get at least another thing. This right here is what I really, really love. Another huge benefit of the FleetLithium pack, right? Another huge benefit of this is we showed you this digital display, okay? Tells you the amps going in right here. It also tells you the amps coming out of it. So when you're using it, that will actually tell you in real time how much amperage you're drawing out of the battery. This buggy I've seen, I've already tried it out. Everything works good, just like it should. This is a super simple install. So literally, you take one positive loose, one negative loose on your main battery packs, and those go right, that plugs straight back into the negative and straight back into the positive on your new battery. It's that simple. It's just me. This right here, it's a direct replacement for the old meter. You go on the inside. While I'm here, for kicks and giggles, y'all watching, right? You're watching me. So for kicks and giggles, here's the old one. So it's got this bracket that's on it. Okay, I didn't know how to get it off. I couldn't find it online, and I looked for about 15-20 minutes, couldn't find it, got aggravated, and patience is not one of my strong suits. Anyway, once I broke the tab and got it off, I realized how to do it. It's got little ears right here you can see on this thing. These little clips, it's got clips on the inside right there you can see. So that slides over it, just like that. And it would click on just like that. So what you need to do, you need to take and those little ears right here, and there's one on the other side, get a screwdriver in there and bend those out just a hair, and bend that out just a hair, and it'll slide right off. And then you can take the face gauge will come out the inside. So that simple. Plug in went right here. I left the plug in there, just take charging. So we've got everything done. So we will, as soon as this charges tonight, tomorrow, we will take and do a range test on the single 105 amp hour battery, and we'll get some miles on it, and we'll get a true real world test on it, on what I can get with it, on even having the weight of the extra 105. And I will say that putting these batteries in was the hardest part of the whole thing. Not actually the literal part of setting them in, but bolting them up was the hardest part of any of it. It took me about an hour to get them bolted in, just because of the way the cross members and stuff are under there. But we got it bolted in. And I will say, the tray on these things fits so tight when you do you cut your tray out like I showed you. It fits so tight. Really, honestly, if you just wanted to get like, 2 or 3 of the rubber bungees to go across that, I can never see a situation with the exception of maybe flipping. If you got it where it was flipping or something, God forbid that happened. But that would be the only time I could see that the batteries would actually come out of that tray. All right, we are back in the Ranger, and we are starting this range test with the 48 volt 105, the single battery. You can look back in our previous videos. You can look back and you can find the actual video where we did a range test on the 72 volt 105. Now the 72 volt 105, it's a bigger battery, obviously, but it was in the Tracker EV. And we started exactly where from my driveway, and we went down to the bottom of our main road here, went down to the bottom, turned around and came back, and it's 3.2 miles. And it's down, like I said, it's down the main road. It's not terribly steep, but it's not flat either. So it's 3.2 miles, and that 72 volt 105 battery in the 40 horsepower Tracker, it used 10% of the battery to make one trip down and back. So 10% it got 3 miles basically out of it. So if you want to do the math on that, it's going to be riding in those conditions down the main road and back up the main road. It would get 30 miles to a charge, and which is not terrible at all. The 150 amp hour battery, it would get to about 45 miles on the same trip there. If I just went down and back up, it'd get 45 miles to a charge. So it was just keep that in mind as we're traveling down the road. First thing I want to do on this range test is I want to get an apples to apples comparison as to how this buggy with this 105 on the 48 volt, how it compares to the 72 volt 105. So that's why we're doing the same exact trip. We're going straight down and turn around and go back to my driveway and see what kind of percent that it's using. So get an apples to apples comparison there. And again, this, even though it's a 105, it's a much smaller battery because it's in the 48 volt configuration. You have to go by the watt hours on the battery pack. The 48 volt 105, sorry, the 72 volt 105 battery, it's about 8,500 watt hours, roughly. 8,000 to 8,500 if I remember right, watt hours. This 48 volt 105 is only 5,300 watt hours, so it's like 50% more power that's stored in that 72 volt 105 than is stored in this 105. It's kind of hard to keep up with if you're just not familiar with the way that the energy works in a battery. For instance, I have in the 72 volt Tracker, you'll look, I have the 150 amp hour in it. So the 150 amp hour is 11,200 watt hours of power, roughly.
and that's a 150 amp hour. In this buggy, when I hook it up, I will have 210 amp hours, but I'll still have about 400 less amp hours in this 210 amp hour pack than I did in the 150 amp hour pack of the 72 volt. So yeah, I can tell this is already going to use. So we're at the bottom. We're at 1.6 miles away from my house right now, and we are. You can see we're down to 95%. Right. So we are at 95%, and I had like 4 or 5 bear hunters on me. So anyway, we're like 45%. Sorry, 45%, I don't know why I said that. We're at 94% now, and we're just starting back up. So, like, it used 6% of the battery's power to come down a mile and a half. So, we'll figure it out when we get back up here, but I don't know what it'll use, but we'll see it. You can see right now I'm wide open, running 25 miles an hour. We're using 250, roughly anywhere from 200 to 250 amps. That's what we're using. So see, we're already at 92%. We'll just figure it up. I didn't think that this would get as good a mileage as that 72 volt 105, even though it's in the 72 volt buggy with 2 motors and 2 controllers. It's just probably be a little more efficient that way. But it's just something that we're going to try, right? So a lot of people, just due to the finances and lithium being expensive, they're just going to put the one single 48 volt 105 in. So I want to give you real world scenario on what it'll do. And I don't want, what I do want people to understand is, I know we mentioned it a little earlier in the video, this is probably a much heavier buggy than what you're going to put this in, unless you got a full cab and an additional 100-pound battery in it. So this is almost like worst case scenario what you're going to get in your Polaris Ranger. And I say that again because we have another element that's working against us today. Is, you can see I've got a coat on. It is about 36 degrees right now. So batteries deplete really, really fast in cold weather. And like I said, it's 36 degrees, so the battery's going to be used up far greater right now than it would be on an average day, 60, 70 degrees. But this is real world. This is what we're doing. We're testing this. I'm kind of glad because this is actually worst case scenario for these 105 batteries. I'm riding it in really, really cold weather. I have heavy doors on it, and I have an additional 105 battery on board. So it's kind of worst case scenario. So you can look at this video, judge for yourself what these 105 amp hour batteries will do, and you can very plainly see that your battery, your single battery with, if you don't have a full enclosure and it's going to be moderate temperatures, you're probably going to get probably 5 more miles on a charge than I would in these situations. So we're almost back up home now. And you can see I'm pulling 240, 250 amps consistently, and we're at 83%. So if you kind of do the math, with the lead acid batteries we're in this, I can only go to the bottom and back up to my driveway 2 times on a charge. That puts me at about 6.5 miles
guys, what we're going to do, we're going to just keep riding a little bit. Did the math on it right quick, and like I said, I was going to use 3.5 miles at 80%, and that's going to be right what we got, but I just wanted to make sure to be dead on. We're at 81% right now. When we go 80%, I just want to be accurate, right? 80%, 3.56 miles. So 3.5 miles at 20% battery life used. So we will times, we got, you know, we've used 1/5 of the battery, so we times that 3.5 by 5, and we get 17.5 miles out of a charge. So I can, you know, again, this is worst case scenario. Cold weather and 250 pounds of extra weight probably over what your buggy's going to be, unless you have the full enclosure. But, and you know, and like I said, it's 36 degrees outside. So I truly believe, you know, if it's 60 degrees outside, that this buggy would probably get, you know, at least in my scenario with an extra battery and these doors, I think it would still get 20 miles on a charge, and that's in my terrain. That's I mean, we're steep. I mean, excuse me. So anyway, I just think in real life, if you're, you know, out flat ground, you're using it for you got your Polaris Ranger and you're just using it around your farm, you're going to get 20 miles out of this single 105 amp hour battery. And I think that's good, because the lead acid batteries, you know, best case scenario, you're going to get 10 miles out of a charge with that lead acid pack. And the performance gains are significant. Being 500 pounds lighter, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of lightness. So we're just gonna put some more miles on this thing. Just we're on gravel road now, and we're running. You know, we're running a pretty good little click. So it ain't like we're just being easy. I have not been running this in max mode, max range mode. I'm running it in high. So again, this is real world experience, and my foot has been on the floor the entire time. So like right now, I'm pulling 250 amps. Now I'm seeing a spike of 280, 290. So we're pulling some juice, right? So not being easy on it at all, just doing a real world comparison for you guys. We're just gonna finish this video up, just doing some riding, some vlogging. And see what? Oh, a child's backing a trailer in. What's up, Bubba? You practicing? What are you doing?
Setting up Dad's camp.
Where's he at? Is he? I hear him. He'd still probably drive better than you. low range. At least lock up the rear end. Well, they've got the road tore up. That's the road to get on up to where we go to get our Charlie Brown Christmas trees. So they've got that all destroyed. What's this world coming to when people are using their own property for things they want, right? we are at 53%. So it should be about 50% by the time we get home. Let me fix this fence. Pigs pushed that and rooted that. Hey, Cooper. See if we got a little flex going on here. Oh yeah. Little articulation. This thing's got super good suspension on this thing. I have got a, like I've been telling you, like I've been telling everybody on here, I have got a lift kit that I have ordered for it. I've actually got it in. It's a I think it's a 2.5 inch lift. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to put it on there. And it cost me $188. I'll probably just sell it for about $150 just to get rid of it. But goat, he head butted my front bumper. But anyway, I'm not going to put them on because what happened when I took the battery weight out of the lead acid batteries, when I took all of that weight out, it literally picked this machine up probably 3 inches. I mean, even after I put the 200 pounds of lithium back in it, it picked it up 3 inches from what it was factory with the lead acid batteries. So I'm not going to put that lift on it. Looking at my angles of my axles and stuff, and I believe that it's just put them at too much of an angle, my CV joints and stuff with my axles. So I'm not going to install it. It still rides plenty good right now. And there is an option. I mean, I can go and get the Polaris mid-sized springs and change the springs out for like the 570 or something like that. Just checking the mail. I could do that and put the lift on, but that's a lot of work, and I don't know that they would really ride that much better by going to the lighter spring rate. I don't know. That's a lot of work, and I don't see really a benefit because it rides good the way it is now. It's not as plush as it was with all that battery weight in here, but still rides super good. So I'm fine with that. But we are at 50% right now. So we're at 50%. Let's go ahead and we're at 9.08. So we're 9 miles at 50% battery life. So that's 18 miles. You run it on down to 0. Now if this is lead acid right now, you got to plug it up because you don't have hardly nothing left basically. So you got to plug it up. So, but in lithium, realistically, you can run this down to 10%, and once it hits 10%, it'll go into it'll be red. This will pop up red once you get to 10%. And I mean, it'll still go, but it will probably decrease power a little bit at 10%. And that's just to save, it's a BMS kicking in, trying to just to help you get back to wherever you need to go, trying to extend the range as much as it can. But you can use 100% of this battery, of the lithium battery, whereas lead acid you can't. Anyway, so we've got 9 miles at 50%, so that's 18 miles in our terrain, running it like you've seen us running it. That's 18 miles, and it's cold. I mean, it's cold today, so there's not a doubt in my mind at a 50-60 degree day you're going to get it's going to get 20 miles. We got 18 miles on one single 105 battery with the doors, the full cab, and with the additional weight of the second 105 amp hour battery. So now I know for a surety that I can take, and when I hook the other battery up, this thing is going to get, worst case scenario, just like right now, it's going to get 36 miles. That's a lot of riding, and that's a whole lot of riding. It's going to be riding till you're just sick of riding. So anyway, that's pretty awesome. So we're going to put this thing to the test. We're going to be doing a lot of tests on this buggy. I do love the way that it rides. I absolutely love the full cab enclosure. That's amazing. On these cold days, it gets really warm really quick with this glass in here if the sun's out. So it's, I mean, like I said, it's still under 40 degrees now. And so that's going to be a heavy drain on the batteries there. So, like I said, all in all, you're going to get 20 miles. On average, you'll get 20 miles with the one single battery. So the dual system, you're going to get 40 plus miles out of it. Remember, I am a dealer, Fleet Lithium dealer. You got any needs, any wants, any concerns, these batteries are awesome for golf carts as well. Just a super good, dependable, extremely overbuilt battery. And that's one of my favorite things about it. So anyway, like, share, and subscribe. God bless you guys.